Midnight. 10th floor of the Solaris apartments. In her bedroom, Ava Quinn slept soundly. Suddenly, a shrill ringing pierced the silence. She pulled the duvet over her head, trying to ignore it, but the ringing persisted, relentless. Groaning, Ava fumbled blindly across the sheets until her hand found the offending phone. "Hello?" she mumbled sleepily. "Ava Quinn. MMM. Lucas Vance took a woman to the Grand Hyatt Hotel." Ava, still half asleep, murmured, "Who is this?" Before she could finish, the voice cut her off. "I have photos of Lucas with that woman." The words jolted Ava fully awake. She started to ask what was going on, but the caller hung up. Seconds later, a message notification pinged. Ava opened it. Staring at the series of pictures, Ava's face drained of color. A long moment passed before she scrambled out of bed, dressed quickly, and rushed out the door. She and Lucas Vance had grown up together. Their families were close friends, and her heart had long belonged to him. Becoming a couple felt inevitable, preordained. Their parents had already set the wedding date. Ava was simply waiting for him to claim her. And now, on the cusp of everything, she received photos of him with another woman. How could she bear it? Ava drove recklessly, tears streaming down her face like broken pearls. She had to confront him, demand an explanation. Suddenly, headlights blazed towards her. A car, speeding erratically. Before Ava could react, it swerved directly into her path. She yanked the steering wheel hard to the right, but it was too late. Crunch. The impact slammed into her, and darkness claimed her instantly. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows at the crash scene. He approached Ava's crumpled car, peered inside at her unconscious form, and a faint, chilling smile touched his lips. He bent down, picked up the phone lying beside Ava, tapped the screen briefly, then carefully placed it back before melting back into the night. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Liam Ashton slowly opened his eyes. Seeing Sean Foster sitting beside the bed, a faint smile touched his pale lips. "You again?" Sean shrugged. "Honestly, I didn't want to see you either. But you passed out drunk in my club. If something serious happened, I'd be responsible, wouldn't I?" Liam's mouth twitched. "Give me a cigarette." "Don't have any," Sean replied flatly. Liam glanced around, noticing his clothes were gone. "Where are my clothes?" "Threw them out." After a long silence, Liam tried again. "Go buy me a pack." Sean looked at him pointedly. "This is a hospital. No smoking." Liam groaned, running a frustrated hand through his hair. Sean seemed to sigh. "Liam, some things can't be forced. If she doesn't belong to you, trying to snatch her, she'll only hate you more. She won't be yours." Liam remained silent. After a long pause, he finally spoke, his voice low. "But I only want her." Sean glanced at him. "Liam, why do this to yourself? Time heals everything." He stood up. "Stop drowning your sorrows. Some people worry." He glanced meaningfully towards the door. Liam's gaze followed. Seeing the woman standing there, he frowned deeply. "Take her away." Sean clicked his tongue. So heartless. A trace of weariness crossed Liam's face. "I don't want to hurt her." "You already have," Sean countered, turning back to face him. Liam didn't respond, just closed his eyes. Sean sighed again and walked towards the door. "Come on, Tessa. I'll take you home." How is he?" Tessa Thorne asked, her face etched with worry. "He's fine, don't worry. Let's get you home." Sean gently put an arm around her shoulder and guided her out of the room and towards the hospital exit. At the main entrance, an ambulance screeched to a halt. Doctors and nurses jumped out, wheeling a gurney inside. Sean glanced over casually. His eyes fell on a face covered in blood, and he froze. "What's wrong?" Tessa turned, following his gaze. Like Sean, she stopped dead, her face instantly turning deathly pale. Tessa's voice trembled. Is that Ava Quinn?" Sean snapped back to reality. "Call Liam. I'm going to check." "Oh, okay." Tessa fumbled frantically for her phone, her fingers clumsy, unable to unlock it immediately. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. How could this happen? How could Ava be hurt? Finally, she swiped the screen open, found Liam's number, and dialed. It rang, but no one answered. "Pick up, Liam, pick up. Something's happened to Ava." She pleaded silently. After what felt like an eternity, the call connected. "Tessa." Liam, something happened," she burst out anxiously. Liam's expression changed instantly. "What is it? You need to come quick." "Ava Quinn. She's been in an accident. They're taking her to emergency." Liam ripped the drip from his hand, jumped out of bed, and bolted out the door. He found Sean standing outside the emergency room. "Sean, what happened to Ava?" Liam rushed over, breathless. "She's in surgery. Her car collided with a drunk driver. The front end was completely crushed." Liam stared, stunned into silence. Minutes ticked by like hours. Sean and Liam stood on opposite sides of the corridor, faces grim. Tessa sat slumped on a bench, her head resting wearily against the wall. After an eternity, the door finally opened. A surgeon in a mask emerged. Liam surged forward. "Doctor, how is she?" "The patient has head trauma, a fractured arm. You need to handle the admission procedures for her." Liam let out a shaky breath of relief. Sean clapped him on the shoulder. "You should call her family." Liam turned to look at him, but said nothing. "Liam," Sean prompted gently. Liam pulled out his phone and dialed Lucas Vance's number. It went straight to voicemail, switched off. He then called Ava's father. Hearing that Ava was hospitalized, Mr. Quinn immediately headed for the hospital. Once Ava was moved to a private room, Sean and Tessa left. Liam stayed for an hour before saying goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Quinn. Back in his own room, a nurse came in and hooked up his 4-drip again. The next morning, around 6, Liam stood outside Ava's room. He didn't go in, just watched her through the glass panel in the door. Just then, Mr. Quinn walked up from the other end of the hall. Seeing Liam, he paused. "Liam, why aren't you going in?" Hearing the voice, Liam turned. "Uncle, come on in." Mr. Quinn pushed the door open first. Inside, Mrs. Quinn heard the door and turned. Seeing Liam behind her husband, she quickly stood up. "Liam, Auntie, how are you feeling?" she asked with concern. Liam, still in his hospital gown, looked pale. "I'm fine," he said softly. "Oh, you child, always working too hard." Liam's mother and Mrs. Quinn were best friends. Mrs. Quinn had watched Liam grow up. "How's Ava?" Liam asked. "She woke up once, about 2 hours ago." Mrs. Quinn looked at her daughter lying in the bed, her face full of heartache. "Liam, come, sit here," Mr. Quinn gestured. Just then, the figure in the bed stirred, eyes fluttering open. "Mom," Ava's voice was raspy. "Oh, Ava, you're awake." Mrs. Quinn rushed to the bedside. "Hurts." Ava frowned slightly. "Where does it hurt?" Mr. Quinn hurried over. "Honey, call the doctor, quickly," Mrs. Quinn said urgently. "Auntie, I'll go," Liam interjected. As Ava's eyes landed on Liam, she called out softly, "Husband." The 3 conscious people in the room froze. Liam was the first to react. He walked quickly to the bedside, his eyes fixed intently on her, his voice trembling slightly with suppressed emotion. "What did you call me?" "Husband," she repeated obediently. "Ava, dear, you're mistaken. Lucas is your future husband," Mrs. Quinn gently corrected her. Ava blinked, her lower lip jutting out in a small pout. "Don't you want me anymore?" Her pale face, combined with the pout, looked incredibly wronged. "No. Yes. I want you, I want you." Liam reached out, grabbing her small hand resting on the bedsheet, words tumbling out incoherently. Mrs. Quinn started to speak again, but Mr. Quinn pulled her back gently. She turned, whispering, "Honey, Ava just woke up. Let's just go along with it for now. We can talk about it in a few days." Mr. Quinn sighed quietly. Between Lucas and Liam, Mr. Quinn had always preferred Liam. He found Liam steady, mature, a better fit for his daughter. But Ava only had eyes for Lucas. Still, Lucas was a decent young man, so Mr. Quinn had let his daughter choose. 3 days later, Ava's actual fiancé, Lucas Vance, finally appeared. Seeing Liam feeding Ava, his face darkened considerably. He walked over. "I'll feed her," he said curtly to Liam. Liam's hand paused midair. He handed the bowl to Lucas and stood up. "Where are you going?" Ava immediately asked. Liam turned back to her, a faint smile on his face. "Just going to wash my hands." "Oh, Ava, open up." Lucas brought the spoon to her lips. Ava glanced at him. "I'm full." Lucas was speechless. When Liam came out of the bathroom, his phone rang. He took it out and walked to the window to answer the call. Ava turned her head, watching his back. "Ava, want some water?" Lucas asked. Ava shook her head. "Some fruit." Lucas tried again. Ava shook her head again. "Watch some TV." Lucas persisted. Ava frowned, turning to look directly at him. "Are we acquainted?" Lucas froze, stunned. "Ava, what are you saying?" he asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You should leave. You're not needed here," Ava said coolly, her usual gentle tone gone. A sharp pain shot through Lucas's heart. He looked at her desperately. "Ava, I'm your fiancé. We're getting married in 2 months." Ava looked genuinely puzzled. "I already have a husband. Why would I get married again?" "Husband? Who's your husband?" Lucas exploded, jumping to his feet, eyes wide with fury. Seeing his reaction, Ava frowned slightly and pointed towards the man by the window. "He's my husband." Lucas glared at Liam, rage flooding his face. He strode towards him, grabbing Liam's collar. "Liam Ashton, you and I both know perfectly well that Ava is my fiancée," he roared. Seeing Lucas grab Liam, Ava cried out anxiously, "Let go of my husband." Liam glanced at Lucas, then turned back to Ava on the bed, offering a reassuring smile. Don't worry, Ava. Husband's fine. For some reason, when their eyes met, Ava felt a strange flutter of panic in her chest and quickly looked away. Just then, Mr. and Mrs. Quinn pushed open the door and stopped, seeing the confrontation by the window. What is going on here? Mr. Quinn demanded. Uncle, Ava is my fiancé. We're getting married in 2 months, right? Lucas released Liam's collar and turned to Mr. Quinn. Mr. Quinn nodded slowly. Ava, she says Liam is her husband. Lucas's face fell, looking utterly dejected. Ava, dear, Lucas is right. You are his fiancé. You two are getting married soon, Mrs. Quinn said, walking to the bedside. Ava looked at them all blankly. Ava, Mrs. Quinn prompted again. Uncle, Auntie, I have something to attend to. I'll leave first, Liam interrupted smoothly. He glanced back at Ava. Rest well. Then he turned and walked out. Seeing him leave, Ava called out urgently, Where are you going? Liam paused, turning back. To work. When will you be back? She asked. Liam hesitated slightly. Probably won't be back for a while. Take me home with you, Ava said suddenly. Ava, what are you talking about? Mrs. Quinn exclaimed. Mom, he's my husband. Isn't it normal for me to go home with him? Ava looked genuinely confused. Mrs. Quinn opened her mouth to argue, but caught her husband's warning glance and swallowed her words. In the doctor's office sat Mr. and Mrs. Quinn, Lucas Vance, and Liam Ashton. Based on the symptoms and your descriptions, the patient appears to be suffering from selective amnesia, the doctor stated, looking at the chart. When will she recover? Mrs. Quinn asked anxiously. It could be a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 10 years, or potentially never, the doctor replied. Mr. and Mrs. Quinn showed little change in expression at this news. Their daughter was alive and still recognized them. Liam's eyes, however, lit up almost imperceptibly. Did this mean he could stay with her longer? Only Lucas turned deathly pale, stumbling slightly. How could this happen? That evening, Ava refused to sleep until Liam appeared in her room. Only then did she relax, her eyelids growing heavy. Mr. and Mrs. Quinn left. Liam walked quietly to the bedside, his hand gently stroking her cheek. Her skin was soft, smooth. He loved the feel of it. Early the next morning, Ava woke to see Liam curled up on the small sofa. His large frame dwarfed it, and he wasn't covered by anything. She carefully slipped out of bed, took a spare blanket, and tiptoed over to cover him gently. Liam only woke when Mrs. Quinn arrived. Liam, Auntie's here now. You should go home and rest, Mrs. Quinn said, her heart aching at the sight of the exhaustion and red veins in his eyes. Auntie, I'm fine today. Oh, you child. Liam noticed the blanket covering him and paused, glancing up at Ava on the bed. Ava bit her lip, a shy blush creeping onto her cheeks. His gaze lingered on her face for a long moment, only shifting when Mrs. Quinn called him for breakfast. Auntie, I'll just wash my face first, he replied, getting up and heading to the bathroom. Ava, time for breakfast. Look what Mommy brought you. Mrs. Quinn beamed, placing containers on the bedside table like treasures. Ava looked over, her eyes brightening. Wow, Mommy, I love you so much. She threw her arms around Mrs. Quinn's neck and planted a kiss on her cheek. You silly child. Mrs. Quinn patted her head fondly. Liam emerged from the bathroom and witnessed this scene. His gaze rested on Ava's face, a thoughtful, searching look in his eyes. Liam, come eat. Mrs. Quinn called when she saw him. Okay. Liam walked over and sat down on the edge of the bed. Ava pushed one of the bowls of porridge towards him. Yours. Why aren't you calling me husband anymore? Liam teased deliberately. Ava's face flushed crimson. She lowered her head and began eating her porridge quickly. A smile played on Liam's lips. He was clearly in a good mood. Mrs. Quinn watched their interaction with a gentle smile. Last night, she and her husband had talked it over and decided to cancel Ava's wedding to Lucas. With their daughter in this state, they couldn't hold Lucas back. After breakfast, Liam went to his company. Mrs. Quinn went home, and then she and Mr. Quinn went to visit the Vance family. Lucas's parents expressed their regret, but understood there was nothing to be done. Lucas sat there silently throughout the visit. Liam finished his work early and headed straight back to the hospital. Pushing open the door, he saw Ava fast asleep. Not wanting to disturb her, he sat on the sofa, scrolling through his phone. By 6 o'clock, she still hadn't woken. Feeling a bit bored, he walked over and sat beside the bed, just watching her. Minutes ticked by, but he continued to gaze at her, as if he could never get enough. Finally, her eyes fluttered open. Only then did he move. Awake. A smile touched his lips. Ava looked at him blearily, dazed for a few seconds before she fully woke up. Meeting his soft gaze, her face instantly turned bright red. Hungry, he asked gently. Ava shook her head, looking away. Ava, he said suddenly, his tone shifting slightly. How about we make a deal? Ava stared at him, lung, stunned. Liam's dark eyes seemed impossibly soft, almost liquid. He leaned closer, his lips brushing her ear. Marry me. I'll help you. Ava's eyes widened in disbelief. I know, Liam whispered, straightening up slightly and gently pinching her cheek. You haven't lost your memory. It took Ava a moment to recover. How did you know? She stammered. How did he know? Of course. He sensed it in her eyes, in her reactions. They had known each other since childhood, and their interactions had rarely been friendly. They would almost always argue about something. This only started changing after she officially became Lucas's girlfriend. It was then Liam realized, with a jolt, that he had fallen for Ava Quinn. But her eyes only held Lucas. All he could do was watch her silently from afar. When he heard their wedding date was set, his heart ached so much he could barely breathe. From then on, they would be like parallel lines, never intersecting. He'd fled to Sean's club, drinking himself into oblivion, drinking until he didn't know how much he'd consumed, until he ended up in the hospital. Liam narrowed his eyes slightly, his smile unwavering. Is there much about you I don't know? Ava pouted. It was true. He knew all her triumphs and embarrassments. That was why she disliked him, always felt the need to provoke him. He never let her win, always infuriating her. Suddenly, a faint smile touched Ava's lips. She leaned towards him, tilting her head up to meet his gaze directly. Are you forcing me to marry you? What do you think? He countered, mimicking her tone. What if I say, I won't marry you? She challenged. Liam didn't get angry. Instead, his smile deepened. Suddenly, his arm shot out, pulling her off the bed and into his embrace, holding her tightly against him. What are you doing? Ava gasped, stunned. Ignoring her question, he lowered his head and captured her lips with his. Outside the hospital room door, Lucas Vance watched them kiss, his eyes instantly turning bloodshot. His hands, hanging at his sides, clenched into tight fists. Mr. Vance. A soft, gentle voice came from behind him. He turned. Tessa Thorne looked at him timidly. Lucas paused, a strange, twisted smile spreading across his face. Miss Thorne, you truly are noble. Mr. Vance, what are you saying? I don't understand. Tessa replied, looking genuinely confused. Lucas stepped closer, leaned down, and whispered something venomous in her ear. Then, with a cold snort, he walked away. Tessa's face instantly turned deathly pale. After a long moment, she took a deep breath, her expression returning to normal. She walked to the door and peered through the glass. Seeing the two inside locked in an embrace, her face blanched again. She stood there for a long time before slowly turning away. Ava's heart hammered against her ribs from Liam's kiss, like a frantic fawn. Nestled in his arms, she didn't dare move, her face burning, head lowered in confusion. Liam's lips moved closer to her ear, his warm breath sending ticklish shivers down her spine, making her body tense. Ava, I like you. Marry me, okay? His voice, low and husky, resonated beside her ear. Hearing this, Ava froze, her mind blank. What did he just say? Liam liked her? Did she hear correctly? I don't need you to like me. His voice came again, softer now. You just have to marry me. Ava snapped back to reality, turning her head to look at him. So desperate. Yes, he admitted, still smiling. Ava, can't you marry me on account of how pathetic I am? Ava fell silent for a moment. What if I can never forget him? Liam's body stiffened. He hadn't expected her to say that. A lifetime? His hand tightened slightly on her shoulder. It doesn't matter, he said finally, a thread of sadness woven into his voice. As long as you stay by my side. Ava stared at him, wide-eyed. She saw a flicker of deep pain in his eyes, and her heart gave a strange, sharp pang. Later, she would realize it was the first stirrings of an unfamiliar ache, empathy, perhaps even more. Ava hesitated. She started, but couldn't continue. She couldn't tell Liam about Lucas cheating. If he knew, he would definitely go looking for a fight. They had fought often enough because of her. In the past, she had always sided with Lucas, and Liam often got hurt. Whenever he raised a hand, she would jump in front of Lucas. Liam would just taunt her with a few sarcastic remarks and walk away, expressionless. Besides, she couldn't marry him now. There was still a space for Lucas in her heart, however damaged. It wouldn't be fair to Liam. She didn't know when she'd finally let go of her stubborn love for Lucas, but she knew it would take a long time. She didn't want to waste Liam's time. And then there was Tessa, the girl who loved Liam so devotedly. Tessa was a good person. She deserved Liam's love. They would be happy together. Are you wanting me? Liam's voice cut through her thoughts, soft but laced with threat. For me to tell Lucas you haven't lost your memory? Ava's face turned white. Ava, he sighed, almost wistfully. I really want to hear you call me husband just once. Ava was speechless. In the following days, coerced by Liam, Ava called him husband many times in front of her parents. She felt completely powerless against him. The day before she was discharged, Lucas came to her room. He looked at her for a long time before speaking slowly. Ava, do you really not remember me? Ava pressed her lips together tightly, her hands hidden under the covers clenching into fists. How could she not remember him? Even if he were reduced to ashes, she'd recognize him. She desperately wanted to ask him why. Why did he betray her? What had she done wrong? But she couldn't ask. The moment she did, her entire charade would crumble. She didn't want to get entangled with him again. She wanted a clean break. In the instant before the crash, she'd had a sudden, sharp realization. Why bother confronting him? Even if she asked, would anything change? Look at what her impulsiveness had nearly cost her life. She still had her parents, her friends, and Liam. As her eyes closed in that terrifying moment, her heart filled with regret. Not regret at leaving her parents, but regret at never seeing Liam again. How she wished she could argue with him just one more time. Since she started dating Lucas, she rarely saw Liam, and they never bickered anymore. She missed that feeling, that strange connection they had through their arguments. Ava shook her head slightly. I don't remember. Her voice was flat, distant, unrecognizable to Lucas. Lucas fell silent for a moment. Tomorrow, he said finally, I'll come pick you up from the hospital. He turned and left without another word. The next morning, Ava packed her things. She had been fully recovered for a while, but Liam wouldn't let her leave, so she'd stayed an extra half-month. 2 days ago, her father received an invitation to a friend's son's wedding, which was today. Knowing Ava was well, he and Mrs. Quinn had gone to attend. Liam had an early meeting but told Ava he'd pick her up around 10. She knew, of course, that he would take her directly to his home. In her parents' eyes, they were already a couple, thanks to her constant husband references. She had to leave before Liam arrived. She handled the discharge procedures herself. Afterward, carrying her bags, she left the room. While waiting for the elevator, she ran into Lucas. Ready to go? Lucas asked, surprised to see her. The elevator doors opened, and Ava stepped inside with her bags. Lucas glanced around, then followed her in, taking the bags from her hands. Ava tried to grab them back, but Lucas simply turned his body away. Ava was speechless again. A few minutes later, the elevator reached the ground floor. As soon as the doors opened, Ava hurried out. A large crowd was waiting to get in, instantly separating her from Lucas. Ava. Lucas pushed through the throng, hurrying after her. Ava hailed a taxi on the roadside and jumped in. By the time Lucas reached the curb, the taxi was already pulling away. He frowned deeply. Give me the bags. Liam's voice suddenly came from behind him. Lucas turned to face him. Liam Ashton, don't think just because Ava forgot me, she belongs to you. Lucas said coldly. One day, when she remembers, she'll hate your guts. Let her hate me then, Liam replied calmly, taking the bags from Lucas's hands. She's already my wife. Soon, she might even be the mother of my child. Lucas's face turned thunderous. Liam carried Ava's belongings and walked towards his car. After getting out of the taxi, Ava wandered aimlessly down the street. She didn't know how long she'd been walking when a figure blocked her path. She looked up into Liam Ashton's amused face. When did you get so much stamina? Liam gazed down at her. Ava blinked, glanced around, and was rendered speechless. She had somehow walked for 4 or 5 hours. Hungry? Let's get something to eat. Liam reached for her hand. Ava quickly pulled away. I'm not hungry. Liam frowned, then grabbed her hand firmly. If you're not hungry, then we're going home. Liam Ashton, can you please just leave me alone? Ava snapped, her brow furrowed. What's wrong? Liam looked genuinely taken aback. I hate you, Ava said coldly. Liam looked at her for a long moment, then sighed softly. Hate me then. He pulled her towards his car parked nearby and bundled her inside. He got in and started the engine. Suddenly, Ava's nose tingled, and tears welled up, spilling down her cheeks. Hearing her quiet sobs, Liam reached over, grabbed the tissue box, and tossed it onto her lap. Such a pretty face. It won't be pretty anymore if you cry all over it. None of your business. Ava muttered, but still pulled out a tissue and dabbed at her tears. If you're not pretty, you won't be able to get married, Liam remarked, glancing sideways at her, his tone surprisingly serious. Then I'll still have to take you off the market. Hearing his words, Ava burst out laughing despite herself. Liam Ashton, can't you just argue with me for once? Ava turned to him, a hint of complaint in her voice. Liam's mouth twitched, a look of helpless resignation on his face. Aren't you curious why I'm doing all this? Ava asked. Doing what? Liam kept his eyes on the road. Lucas, she stated plainly. Liam's expression didn't change. Your business with him has nothing to do with me, he said calmly. Whatever you decide to do, I'll support you. Ava bit her lip. Liam, if I marry you, can you? Before she could finish, Liam cut her off. I already told you. Ava froze, remembering the scene in the hospital room, his kiss, his words. An involuntary blush spread across her face. Liam took Ava to his apartment. You'll live here, he announced. Ava sat on the sofa, looking around at the furnishings. It was the first time she'd been inside his home. I'll move out, he finished for her, handing her a glass of water. Ava took the glass. Where will you move? Liam looked at her, a smile playing on his lips. Can't bear to let me go? Ava rolled her eyes and took a sip of water. Call me when you've made up your mind, Liam said, standing up and walking towards the door. Seeing him leave, Ava quickly asked, Where are you going? To work. Ava pouted. I'm hungry. Liam looked back at her, his smile soft and warm. Someone will deliver food soon. Aren't you eating? Ava asked. At her question, Liam's smile widened. He walked back and sat down beside her on the sofa. Ava eyed him warily. Liam picked up the remote and turned on the TV. Weren't you leaving? Ava said. Didn't you invite me to stay for dinner? Liam glanced at her. Ava was speechless once more. And so, Ava moved into Liam's apartment. He came over every evening after work to have dinner with her. On weekends, he took her out, exploring the city, visiting parks, going to museums. Day by day, the image of Lucas Vance gradually faded from Ava's heart, replaced by the steady presence of Liam Ashton. One evening, they were watching TV on the sofa. A scene resonated with Ava, making her think about her own situation. She turned to look at Liam, who was engrossed in the show. Am I terrible? She asked quietly. Why would you say that? Liam turned to look at her. Falling for you just half a year after breaking up with Lucas. Ava mumbled. Liam froze, his deep eyes locking onto hers. You like me? His voice held a tremor of excitement. Ava froze too, stunned. Had she actually voiced the secret feelings hidden in her heart? Liam's arm shot out, pulling her swiftly into his embrace. Ava's face turned the color of a ripe apple. Liam leaned in, his lips finding hers. Ava felt her heart pounding wildly, threatening to leap out of her chest. This was the second time Liam had kissed her. Ava, he murmured, pulling back slightly. Ava bit her lip, closed her eyes, and then, emboldened, reached up, wrapped her arms around his neck, and kissed him back. Liam stiffened in surprise, then responded with a deepening passion, an overwhelming wave of emotion rising within him, unstoppable. Suddenly, he swept her up into his arms and carried her towards the bedroom. Ava didn't resist. She surrendered herself to him completely. 1 month later, a magnificent wedding took place at a seaside hotel. After the officiant announced the start of the ceremony, the beautiful bride, Ava Quinn, walked gracefully down the aisle on her father's arm towards the stage. Liam Ashton stood at the center, waiting for his bride. After the ceremony concluded, Ava leaned against Liam's arm, whispering playfully, I'm so tired. Liam turned his head to look at her. Want to rest for a bit? Maybe not. Don't we still have to toast the guests? Ava replied. No rush. Liam gently freed his arm and wrapped it around her waist instead. Go sit over there for a while. Okay. Well, is the beautiful bride tired already? Sean Foster, today's best man, sauntered over, teasing. Liam shot him a sideways glance. You're blocking drinks later. Sean's smile twitched. He patted Liam's shoulder. Smoke break. Liam paused, then turned to Ava. Sean and I are just stepping out for a moment. Ava nodded. In the corridor outside the reception hall, the two men stood side by side. Liam took a drag from his cigarette. What is it? Tessa got married, Sean said quietly. Liam froze for a second, turning to look at him. To who? Someone you know, Sean replied, meeting his gaze. Liam didn't speak. Lucas Vance, Sean stated. How did those two end up together? Liam asked, genuinely surprised. Sean shook his head. I don't know. Just then, Ava emerged from the hall. Liam, let's go make the toasts. Rested enough? Liam stubbed out his cigarette. Ava nodded. Liam wrapped his arm around her waist, and they walked back towards the banquet hall together. Sean watched the perfect couple walk away, a pang of envy in his chest. Suddenly, Tessa's face flashed in his mind, and he frowned slightly. Helping others find their happiness, yet pushing oneself into the abyss. The end.